Welcome back to the Gun Show, my friends. We always appreciate you. We know how valuable time is, and we know how important it can be to spend it correctly. So we hope that you're spending it with us correctly as well. All right, so let's get to the beginning matter here for everyone who's tuned in and tuned in for guns. I don't have any guns. I'm not sure if my guest does. If you tuned in for muscles, I don't have any of those either. My guest definitely has muscles. Except we're not talking about that today. So look at the two ends instead of the one end. Wait, Christian, do muscles have two ends? It's still the gun show with one end, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, so I apologize. I don't have muscles or guns. So if you've tuned in for that reason, I hope you stick around because what we're going to talk about today could be incredibly beneficial. What I've learned in the manufacturing world, as we humanize manufacturing on the gun show, we bring the humans to you, is that manufacturing is a wonderful art. Everyone's working, making everything around us, but we are real rubbish at marketing, if I'm being honest. In fact, we currently have a labor shortage that we discuss on this show all the time, and partly due to marketing not being great. So the guest I have today is a legend at marketing. The guest I have today has been the director of marketing for Burger King, the director of marketing for Blockbuster. Christian, do you know what Blockbuster is? You're pretty young.
Is it like a video game or something?
It's close, yeah. Well, you could go and rent some video games, yeah. For those of you out here who are a bit younger, you might not know what a Blockbuster is. We can go into details. Leave it in the comments. We'll answer it for you. He is also the director of entertainment at AMF Bowling, director of marketing and public relations at Bonefish Grill, director of marketing at Pieology, director of cafe marketing at Hard Rock International, and is currently the VP of marketing at the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill. Are you stoked for him? Yeah, me too. But before we do that, I've been getting a whole lot of questions about all of the parts that are all over our set. The cool Mandalorian head, Darth Vader, the monk over there made by Hermele, and I just received this one. So I'm going to do one part per episode to discuss how it was made, who made it, who gifted it, if it was a gift as well. So this one was recently delivered. For those of you who watched my podcast or listened to the podcast recently where we talked about Open Mind and Hypermill with my friend Peter Bingman, he looked around the set, he goes, "We don't have any stuff here." So they were nice enough to send this gorgeous, gorgeous eagle. So Open Mind Technology, Hypermill, wonderful, wonderful software that allows you to do more within the machine itself. And obviously, if you want to know way more details than what I just said, because that's not what today's podcast is about, you're more than welcome to go back to episode 6 of the VIP edition. It was made on a Hermele machine. Really, truly great friends of mine. I've known them for a long time. In fact, Hermele, Gunther, thank you. I know Robbie's moved on. He's a guest on here as well. He's with Aceta. And Manuel's going to be a guest as well, but he's moved into another area. But I met those three guys at Hermele about a decade ago. One of the major companies in manufacturing. As a new sales guy for air turbine technology, it gave me a chance. However, I want to talk about each of the parts, but let's move on. Let's thank our sponsors. We do appreciate all of our sponsors as well. AMT, we're looking forward to IMTS. We're going to break records this year. There's so much excitement pumping into September. Let's also thank EBITDA Growth Systems, Shop Rescue. Yeah, if you haven't heard about it, if you haven't seen it, you better start tuning in because that's changing the way manufacturing is viewed as well. Shop Rescue, a really great EBITDA Growth Systems production. So, have I talked enough yet? Christian, what do you think? Is it time to really introduce our guest?
I think so. I think it's time.
Yeah, I've been talking too much at this point. So this young man that I have with me today, I actually met 15 to 20 years ago. This young man is a father of a good friend of mine and also a father-in-law of somebody that used to beat me up on the soccer field. When I first met him, he was wearing a kilt. So I, too, am wearing a kilt today. And I'm actually going to stand up real quick. That's right. I got my kilt on today in honor of this young man. So 15 years later, I've already said all of the great marketing that he's done. He's a truly, truly a legend. He's marketing for entrepreneurs. My good friend, Mr. Chuck McAulay. My friend, how are you, brother? Welcome back to the Gun Show, my friends. This is the VIP edition.
Tony, I am great. Absolutely great. But you know what? I'm devastated.
Why is that?
I never wore my kilt.
I should have told you. I should have given you a heads up.
I should have known better. I could have wore plaid shorts or something, right? You know, so.
Just cut a slit in the middle.
Anything
Nobody
ever. Plaid shirt. I really blew it. I'm very Floridian today, I think. So.
That's all right. We are in Florida, so that's a good thing.
In Boca Raton.
There's a whole lot of people out there sitting in the snow wishing they were in Florida with us, wearing shorts.
I've been there, done that, and lived in Winnipeg, Canada. Check that one out for
remember.
snow and cold weather. No question at all. Well, great to be here. Thank you for inviting me today. And I think you blew my head up too much. The headphones are going to blow off.
I already did that. I thought I put you to sleep, but you were listening.
I was listening, especially about Blockbuster Video.
Okay, so that's fun. Tell me about Blockbuster Video.
Blockbuster Video. Yeah, I had an opportunity to work for Blockbuster Video a long time ago, for those that will remember. Interesting story about Blockbuster Video. I went over to the UK and was reporting into the UK in 2000. Back then, there was a thing called Redbox. Does anybody remember Red? I think they're still around.
They are,
Redbox.
kind of.
Owned by McDonald's, kind of interesting story. But back there, we did a 3-day immersion into what is Blockbuster Video all about, how can we take it to the next level, and it was all about streaming. Funny thing happening, streaming into homes, strange thing, right? And we came up with this global campaign, because I was a little part of it, called Bringing Entertainment Home. And eventually we had this glowing Emery box, they called it, which was what the VHS tape was in. It was glowing and all this crazy stuff anyway. But we had to write an epitaph as part of the exercise. If Blockbuster did not transform its model, what would happen in the next 10 years? And the rest is history, sadly, because Blockbuster blew up and went away. There was one left for quite a long time. It was on TV a little while ago.
I think I actually drove by it. Was it in Oregon or Washington?
Somewhere, Iowa, Ottawa. Yeah. Not Ottawa, sorry.
We actually drove by it not too long ago on one of our trips. We're like, wait, is that the one?
Yeah, original Blockbuster. You know, loved it there. It was all corporate, had a lot of fun, doing a lot of crazy things. We called it Rentail. And we actually had one of the first loyalty programs outside of airlines, hotels, and so on and so forth. Blockbuster Rewards, which was very interesting, especially in the Canadian market when you had to have the French translation. That was always very, very challenging. But it was a fun time. You know, everyone's a fun time. Spent a couple of years, a lot of time in Dallas where they were located. Wanted to move to Dallas, but they wouldn't take me.
No kidding.
That was it. I had to move on after that. Couldn't get in the door. I'm in the U.S. Sorry, I couldn't get in the U.S. back then.
You guys catching a little accent from this guy?
I try to. It depends. Give me some whiskey and I'll thicken up a bit. You know?
That's the end of the show. We are going to do a nice cheers at the end of the show. It'll thicken up then.
You got me fired up on coffee.
So, Blockbuster is such an interesting topic, and I'm going to try to pull as much out of that vault of yours, all that information that you have, Chuck, today, and just kind of connect the dots between manufacturing, marketing, and what you've done. Before we stepped inside, we talked a little bit about how the restaurant business, which you have a ton of expertise in, is kind of saturated. So how do you get creative, which I think kind of applies to manufacturing and how we can get creative as well. But before I do that, before we dive in and I absorb some of that, I also had that rewards program for Blockbuster. But you know what really upset me? Because Blockbuster, here we are, is the late fees. You know how much money I had to spend on late fees?
Fantastic money-making opportunity.
Yeah.
I hope, if my oldest son will watch this at some point in time, Craig, he was the king of late fees.
Yeah.
The videos were hidden under the front seat of the car. I would find them weeks later and like, what is going on? But no, it was one of Blockbuster's little secrets. Late fees are big revenue generator.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I've worked at companies where repair and manufacturing is going to be a big revenue, and it's very similar to that, right? A little bit of late fees. I remember walking in and trying to negotiate one time because I had a movie for a month or so. I forgot all about it. Like, you owe us $3 million. I'm like, can I pay you $100,000?
Please.
Sorry, I'm gonna go back to how we introduced this thing.
Sure.
Marketing Burger King, marketing Blockbuster, marketing AMF. Marketing Bonefish Grill, marketing Pyology, Hard Rock International, the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill, which we'll give some shout outs. We'll kind of close out that part of the show with where you are today.
Shameless promotion.
Absolutely. We love doing shameless promotion. Do you have a favorite style of marketing? Do you have a favorite company that you've done marketing with?
That's a great comment. My favorite style of marketing has definitely transitioned through the years to a degree, because of the digital world we live in, right? I started marketing a long time ago. I'm an old guy, you can tell that already.
No, I cannot, actually.
Old guy, but I started with all the basic stuff way back when we went in the digital world, and then you transition into digital, social, et cetera, pardon me. But you know what? It's all about building relationships. Doesn't really matter what business you're in. It's about being genuine, authentic, building relationships, willing to listen, especially to entrepreneurs, people in the field. It's all about, and those relationships are not just with internally, with your operations team, your finance team, whoever you're working with, procurement team. It's all about respect. Those, for me, are the foundations of marketing. And then you get into ideation. Now, I might have a pretty decent brain left for ideation and fun. I like to think I'm kind of creative, but I do rely on a lot of great people to really dig in and bring things to life and stuff like that. So for me, what I do today, I'll call it the fusion of hospitality and technology. Hospitality is so critical, and I believe it's still critical, and maybe even more critical because of the world we live in right now. I mean, we're sitting here face to face, we're having some fun, but in digital world, you can hide behind everything. You can, it's incredible what's going on out there. It's important, we use the tools, obviously, but at the same point in time, especially in the restaurant business, we deal with people. Even if you're doing to-go delivery and all that stuff's happening, we're dealing with people that are coming into our restaurants on a regular basis, always have done that. And so that hospitality is critical. Culture is critical, whether you're in any industry. Culture is driven by leadership, and it's bottoms up, top down, and how you treat people with respect and motivate your team. It sounds simple, and it's really not that complicated if you've got that type of energy, passion, and personality. You'll hear the word servant leadership being thrown around a lot, and I've used it myself quite a long time because that is kind of my nature and style, to be honest with you. I like to see people be successful, and typically if they're being successful and I've contributed a wee bit, I'm fine, I'm happy. So if that kind of gives you a bit of a vibe on where I've gone.
Oh, it most definitely does. That was a solid answer, and it popped into my head so many more questions I want to ask. I'm going to ask you in just a minute how you got into it. But what I would love to do at this moment, because you've kind of already brought it up, and I already know some digital gangsters out there as well. I know Christian does it. We get real brave when we're behind a keyboard and not in front of people. You kind of mentioned that also. But what I want to do is, because you mentioned kind of your longevity, how you started going through the years from one era of marketing into what we're doing now with a more digital era of marketing. I would make the discussion, and I always say discussion because most people go, I'll make the argument. I don't like to argue. So I would make the discussion. Yeah, we're good people like that, right? Even though we come from Scotland and Vikings and all that stuff.
Don't like to argue. I like to argue over football and stuff like that. Soccer, take that back. Completely contradict myself.
Very well done. Very well done. But what I want to do is, because you do have this legacy and you've been doing it for so long, before we get into why you've done it, how do you think, for manufacturing, I'm going to give you a small story, a little bit of details on where we sit. I would make the discussion that there's a lot of people in the boomer generation right now that are running businesses that refuse to do any modern marketing because they don't understand it in manufacturing, which is sorely misplaced, I think, because every other industry is at least trying, right? But we sit in a very traditional industry where we've been doing something for 40 years, it's worked for 40 years or 50 years, and we're going to stick to it, and we're not open to new ideas. I would like to take some of your expertise as you've grown through these different versions of marketing and maybe offer a little bit of advice about the transition, whether it's helping someone get over their fear, maybe it's helping someone understand what modern marketing could do, whatever perspective you want. But I'd love to take your legacy and apply that here.
And I think it's great, excuse me, having worked, throughout my career lots of times with entrepreneurs, franchisees, but corporately owned and a real mixed bag. And I think it's all about how you bring ideas to fruition, right? And even when it comes to the technology of today, so you got to educate yourself, right? So you have to educate yourself. And again, I mean this sincerely. My dad, who passed away recently, always said,
sorry.
I'm like, no, thank you. You're a jack of all trades and master of none. And I joke about it a lot because I am very much a generalist. I know enough to be dangerous at times. I know enough to ask maybe the right questions, even if I don't even know what the answers are. But, it really is about educating yourself, right? And it's about, if you're educating yourself and you're willing to work with people and say, look, I've got something, I really need you to look at this, okay? Don't be scared. A lot of people are scared of change and so on and so forth, especially if they're really old-fashioned, doing everything the old-fashioned way. It's really about presenting it to them in the right way, opening minds, and sometimes that's selling. Like I never really consider myself a salesperson. I'm in a sales-driven organization right now because we sell franchises, but I've always been a salesperson for the brand, whatever brand I've worked for, right? But I think you've got to sell people on the idea. You've got to just open their minds and say, look, we've got some great initiatives here. We're not 100% sure it's going to work, but the definition of madness, we all know what that is. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting. Right. And I've discovered that more recently than you can imagine, believe it or not. Not in this role, but some other previous roles. And again, I always present it though, like I'm exploring. That's probably the right word. Explore. Don't be scared to explore. You're going to fail. There will be failure. Everybody talks about that. There's a million books on it, right? If you're going to fail fast, right? And then recover and get right back at it again. So really it's a matter of, I think, educating yourself, presenting, bringing people who are experts in the industry. If I was doing something about, your industry, I'd bring you in and say, like, what do I know about it right now? Here's an expert in the industry. Let them talk about it. We have a convention coming up in Nashville in the middle of July. That's what we're going to do. I might be mediating and doing, but these people, I can't get up there and do a 30-minute presentation on catering. And, give me a break.
I bet you could.
A couple of drinks later. But in all seriousness, yeah, and that's what I love. I love bringing in these people who've got that expertise, educating myself and educating the folks that I'm working with. You're not always going to get a yes. A lot of times you're going to get resistance, right? A lot of times you're going to get no. But just open your universe. Be open to ideation and that type of thing.
That's a really great answer as well. And what I want to follow up with that is another thing that we've found in manufacturing is that there's some really smart people. And they don't like to talk about it. They kind of like to keep their cards to themselves. They're engineers. They're introverts.
Right.
The sales guys on the are a different animal altogether, of course. But most of the people creating things kind of keep this information to themselves, right? So in the world of marketing for manufacturing, it's very rare to have someone who's run machines, programmed machines, made parts, who also understands how to do the marketing side of things.
Interesting.
So the advice I would like to try and pull from you is there are far more marketers who know marketing but need to figure out how to make it work in manufacturing than there are manufacturers who can get into marketing as well. I'm a strange animal, and there's 1, 2, 5, maybe 10 more at the most who really get into, I've programmed machines, I've made parts, I've run machine shops, now let's market for an industry that has a big labor shortage. The majority of people majored in marketing. They understand how algorithms work and analytics work, but they know nothing about manufacturing. What kind of advice would you offer to kind of bind those two worlds?
At EBITDA Growth Systems, we guarantee to double your value in 3 years. Well, instead of telling you about a guarantee, how about if I tell you a story? We had a shop owner come to us at an event saying, I'm not sure if you can help us. He said, we have our credit lines maxed out in our business. I have a second mortgage on my home, it's maxed out. I'm not sure what to do. I have a payroll coming up next week and I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Can you help us? We said we weren't sure, so we came in and we came alongside of him. In 18 months, he went from not having any money to having over $800,000 in the bank and having a 6 times exit what his value was at that day. And now he's living a life that he always dreamed of with his family. And it's fantastic, and that's what's really rewarding for us, and that's what EBITDA Growth Systems is all about. If you want to know more about EBITDA Growth Systems, go to www.ebitagrowthsystems.com, EBITDA growthsystems.com, and go to our contact page where I will reach out to you personally.
I think it's interesting because, again, if you go back, whether they're introverted, whether they're very, very smart in the technology, and it would blow me away. I mean, I look at buildings and I go, how do you build that? It really is incredible, right?
Yeah.
And I actually was in manufacturing for 5 minutes at one point in time.
5 whole minutes.
I can share that later.
Please do.
Oh, yeah, in Winnipeg, Canada. But no, I think it's a matter of, how do you communicate with the individuals, right? And always say you need to immerse yourselves in everything, right? So if I'm going to market in restaurants again, and I just got back to this position, I want to spend time in the field, in the restaurants, working with the operators, doing my training again. You've got to really understand what's going on. So let's say that we had this social, digital opportunity in manufacturing. We get these very smart engineers, technology, but they just, let's bring them together, right? Let's bring them in, bring them together. Whoa, smash the mic. And just chat through the opportunities and make it more of a forum. We used to have every year, one of the companies was a big idea session, right? I have trouble with the word idea, by the way, but anyway, big idea session. And seriously, we did, but we brought all the partners in, right? Everybody was there, all your agencies and so on and so forth, did some crazy stuff. So it might be just that these folks need that type of encouragement, that type of involvement, bringing somebody from the outside in. It's not like you're trying to steal anything or you're trying to get them to be social butterflies and, in a heartbeat. But sometimes you'll find that dialogue. And I find with a lot of these, especially younger generation in the social and digital world, I mean, they're like sponges. But at the same point in time, you really learn from them because they're into it. They know what's going on. They're really following all the trends and everything else. I don't know if that makes sense. But
It does. And the younger generation grew up with an iPad or an iPhone or whatever technology in their, in their crib.
And
we didn't have that.
At
Yeah.
one point in time, I graduated to a pager.
Yeah. Remember the pagers?
With a roll of quarters.
Did you get like the 911 pages or the
yeah.
411? Yeah.
Quarters, yeah.
A roll of quarters.
A roll of quarters, yeah.
And
so I could jump out the van and get to the payphone and call when my pager went off.
Christian, you ever use a payphone in your life? No, he's shaking his head no for the audience right now. Never used a payphone. In fact, sometimes I'll take a selfie with a payphone when I'm at an airport just to show that they still exist, which is strange. So,
Very
Chuck,
strange.
how in the heck did you get into marketing? You've obviously got this legacy. You've been doing this a while. Your advice
Yeah.
is stellar, but how did you get started?
So I arrived in Winnipeg, Canada at the ripe old age of almost 16 from Scotland, wanting to be I wanted to be a renegade. I wanted to join the Merchant Navy, and I did no way I wanted to move to Canada. And so I ended up, I went to one of the local high schools and I did this whole thing, and they went, well, we'll put you in grade 12. And I'm like, I don't want to go to school. I probably spoke a lot thicker then, but I don't want to go to school. And they went, okay. So I just left, and I went and got a full-time job. And I started working. And I did actually get into manufacturing. My uncle was in the sheet metal business. And I actually went to work for a company called McDonald Brothers. My dad got me in their first sheet metal business, where you can imagine me with one of these big press things and trying to bend metal and stuff like that, kill myself.
At 16, 17, 18 years old around this time?
And so I get out of there and went to my uncle, and I worked with him for a while. And then I realized, like, I am just not cut out for this. I mean, there's no chance. I'm hopeless at this.
Is this your 5 minutes of manufacturing?
This was my 5 minutes of
Got
manufacturing.
it.
It's more like maybe 5 months or 6 months. So then I woke up one day and I thought, I better go back. I better go to school and get this grade 12. It's really important in Canada and whatnot. And went to school, met a buddy of mine, and I had this passion for music, big passion for music, and I always wanted to be a DJ.
Oh, no kidding.
As a kid, I would have a transistor radio. This really dating myself. Transistor radio at home, a microphone, reel to reel, and I'd be trying to tape the top 10 countdown. When my brothers and
Yes.
sisters are making noise in this tiny little apartment we lived in, I'm going to kill them. So I love music, wanted to be a DJ, and I went to the National Institute of Broadcasting in Winnipeg in 1974 or 75, and they said, we don't take people with accents.
What?
Swear.
Well, it's not
Never
disappeared,
get
so
away
what'd
with
you
it.
do?
You'd never get away with it today. So I thought, okay, I'll just start my own mobile disc jockey business.
Did you?
So I did. So I met a guy at school. I said, let's start a mobile disc jockey business. We got some money together. We went out. We MacTac. Do you know what MacTac is?
I don't.
Okay, MacTac is like a sticky film, and it was plaid, and we plaided up the speakers and everything else, and we called ourselves the Tartan Roadshow from Scotland to Canada.
Does
So
any of that
okay.
still exist?
It's long gone. Well, the business card's still around. I've still got an old business card somewhere. So we started the Tartan Roadshow, and the first gig we ever did was a 50th wedding anniversary for a Japanese couple. It was really, really interesting. And back in Winnipeg, you could buy tickets to events. It didn't matter if you knew the people or not. Long story there. So, of course, we had 50 people show up that we knew to get them dancing and get them going. We had a little light show thing. And the one thing I wanted to do to really stick out from the competition, in Scotland, they had their name in lights. They'd have DJs and have their name, name of the company. So my uncle in the sheet metal business built a big sign, and we called it the Tartan Roadshow, and it had sequence lights that went around it. So we popped this thing up, we lit up, we would go, and it was just a blast. And so we started that. We realized maybe about a year in that the tartan thing was maybe not quite where we should go. So my partner goes, let's call it Roadshow Sound. And that began my journey into marketing, because what happened is we met all these people in the music business through the radio stations. They wanted to get into the schools. We were a vehicle to get them into the schools. We would do these noon-hour sock hop things, right? And then we do school dances, build light shows. Then you bring in sponsors. Met the guy from A&W. They wanted the root beer involved as well. Then we started working with charities, the Children's Hospital, the Kidney Foundation, and so on and so on. All these different charities. So it was really just street smart stuff that got me going. And I'm doing all of this, and I woke up one day with 4 kids, making no money, doing this.
Woke up one day.
And I thought, I need to get a real job. And it's a true story, and I'll try to be quick on that. Need a real job, and it was very coincidental. McDonald's were hiring a community marketing manager in Winnipeg, Canada. They had maybe, 15, 20 stores. Burger King we're hiring a local store marketing manager, so same type of role, right? I applied at McDonald's and I got the rejection letter. I was not classically trained in marketing, and they wanted somebody classically, and I respect that, don't get me wrong. I've kept the letter to this day, not that I look at it much, it's there somewhere. Burger King wanted some dude that was connected in the community and was involved in the community with this, that, and the next thing, and off we went. And Burger King hired me, and I started in community. Very blessed, very fortunate. And then they wanted me to be really different. We did a lot of crazy stuff that they said we could never do. Total paint bus. You know buses?
Sure.
This was painted. No vinyl back then. Hand painted by Native Indians, and it was phenomenal. Won an award. I can't make it up. And then I wanted a vehicle. I need a vehicle. I got 4 kids. Drive them around. Put a Burger King community events van on the road. We put speakers on the roof. They'd be attached to the roof rack. You had to put cassette tape in to play the speakers back then. And I started going to all these different events that we were doing, and all this crazy stuff we were doing, just trying to be different. I'm not even going to say it was out of the box. It was just like stuff that I thought, let's be different, let's do different things and whatnot. So it was a very fortunate start into marketing with no formal education, to be honest with you.
And the passion seems to currently exist still. Would you say that you do it because you're good at it? Would you say you do it because you love it? Would you say you do it because it provides money and security, or all of the above? Currently, you've been doing this quite a while, and I'm feeding off of your inspiration and passion as well. Do you enjoy what you do?
I do enjoy what I do. Everything comes with its price and its crazy stuff. There's no question at all. I enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge, right? And you deal with other frustrations, and we'll call them opportunities as you go. So yeah, it's all of the above to a degree. I still need to make a living. I might retire in a few years. We'll figure that out as we go. And but I enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy the challenge of. There's a lot of what was we'll call it old school, if you will, and I've talked about some of it, right? And I'll look and we'll come up with some of this stuff, and I'll go, oh, you can't do that. That's like, oh, no. Wait a minute. We can tie that in with digital, social, geo-targeted, get people on their phones and so on and so forth. And then I enjoy the technology side when I'm really trying to educate myself and really understand what can be done, but don't make it too impersonal, right? You've got to make it personal. And then in the latest gig, I'm back working with, we're 100% franchise, 100% entrepreneurs. And so there's a real sense of ownership at times. You want to work with these guys, and very diverse, right? And they're making a big investment into a brand, so you want to be successful. And it can be a little exhausting and consuming, there's no question at all, because that personal service to all these different people, I've got a couple of staff members now, can be challenging. But that's the fun part of it.
That is the fun part. I'm going to ask you a little bit more about what you're currently doing in just a minute, but I want to describe something that you brought up that I completely agree with, and that's one of my favorite rooms to sit in, Chuck, is when the diversity of different age groups, different sexes, different cultures, all of it can be in one room, and they just feed off of each other in creativity. Instead of trying to one-up each other or saying, I'm the boss, it really is like that King Arthur roundtable type thing where you can just spitball ideas, because much like yourself, I'm learning something from my daughter who's turning 12.
Oh, yeah.
I learned something from the teenagers, the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds. I'm learning something from the knowledge that's been worked for 40 to 50 years of the people who are about to retire.
Right.
Combining all of this, the old and the new, I think is something that should be done. I think it's obvious that it should be done more, but how do we get to a space where everyone can feel confident in their own skin and sit in that room and go, I respect you, you respect me, you have 20, 30, 40 years of knowledge, I'm brand new, but we both get to be both students and teachers. How do we get to that point?
I think, I would probably think at first to leadership, right? Who is the leadership of the organization? What does the leadership believe? What are their values? And how do you bring people together? If leadership has a real good open mind, and our current leadership do, family-owned business, privately owned, a lot of different age groups, no question at all, right? And so if leadership drives that, and you just take the boundaries off, right? You've got to, and that's kind of where it starts. Talk about culture, so important. See a lot of challenges and issues with culture. Leadership's going to drive it, and then it just depends on how you set it up from there, right? You want to make it comfortable. I've got my attitude as well is the not invented here syndrome. That drives me absolutely nuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, it drives me crazy. And, we can't do that. We've done that before. It never worked. Yeah, I get it. I've done stuff before. It never worked. Let's maybe try it in a different angle. But that generational gap, I think, needs to be bridged. And I think it can be done through solid leadership, building those relationships, and just setting the guidelines and the boundaries for what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I'm going to jump into the social media side of things, I'm not sure that it's helping with the generational gap, because it seems like everyone's making a meme about each other and their generation and why we can't get along when truly we can.
It blows my head up a little bit. And real quick, man, in the previous gig, again, I had a social media manager. He's 38 years old. I said, Justin, I'm going to learn probably more from you than you will from me. No, man. I said, no, you could be my son. And, and
we'll talk about your son in just a minute, by the way.
And it's fascinating because I have that attitude all the time. If I knew everything, I'd be zooming in from the Caribbean right now, getting ready to go golfing and lying on the beach, having my tequila this afternoon, but I'm sitting here and I've got a full-time job and I'm having some fun with you. But in all seriousness, I think that's the attitude you have. If you're looking at lifelong learning, and that's really important as well. And that doesn't mean to say you're reading books every day, which is, it's important to read books. Listening, engaging, researching, and don't be afraid to, what do you call it, keep your mouth shut and listen to what people are going to say.
2 ears, one mouth, right? Christian, when Chuck does retire and he's sitting in the Caribbean, do you think we could take this roadshow?
I think so. I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm
we
definitely
could take this
Punta
podcast.
Cana.
Yeah,
Punta Cana.
I like that idea.
Isla Mujeres.
So I do want to jump into the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill, but because you brought up your son, let's give him a quick shout out on his recent promotion and just give the audience a real quick what he does at 38 years old.
At 38 years old. So my youngest son, I have 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. Youngest son, Ryan McAulay, was just promoted to be the Vice President of Sales and Distribution for Liquid Death.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Liquid Death.
Keep up the good work, brother.
Yeah, so Liquid Death, I've followed that obviously very, very closely. I think he was the 8th employee. I'm going to say it was, 3, maybe 4 years ago now. Track of time at times, But seriously, and, they've just absolutely exploded. So he was just promoted last week, and he's done an excellent job. So made his VP by 38 rather than 40, and it's a great product. I'll give them a plug. It really is absolutely fabulous.
Look, right now, kids are looking at what they're going to be doing in the future, and some of them don't even know what a career in manufacturing could look like. So what we're trying to do is support organizations and initiatives that are telling kids what a career in manufacturing is. So help us give back by purchasing Shop Floor Coffee. You can find us at shopfloorcoffee.com. We're on LinkedIn. Contact us. Let us know how we can support you and your organization.
I agree. Now that we've done that for Ryan, though, should we say something nice about your other 3 children, or should we just bypass them and move into the Greek restaurant?
Funny you should mention that. My oldest son, Craig, is quote-unquote an engineer.
Huh.
He's in construction. He's a construction project manager, and he's working for a huge Dominion project in Richmond right now.
Is he?
I don't know where he came up with a technical mind. I'm like, where did you get?
His mother.
It must be his mother. I'm not so sure about that. She'll listen to this and then hit me over the head. No, in all seriousness, he is so technical, it blows my mind. It just shows you, like, it's not. I don't know where that came from. Allison, who you know well, who's a real estate agent, used to bake cakes. She's done soup to nuts, but done very well in real estate. And then my youngest, Renegade, she is in the beverage business as well. So she's jumped around a little bit in beverages, but she's in sales. She's a people person out there.
Much like yourself,
Sarah.
People person.
Shout out to Sarah.
Awesome. Well, Craig, if you ever want to join me on the podcast, I'm very familiar with Dominion as well. My sister and my brother-in-law both work at Dominion in Virginia.
Seriously?
It's a small world.
Oh, for goodness
So
sake.
come on down to Florida. We'd be happy to have you. All right, my friend. We've waited long enough. I know it's important that in the current project that you're in, that we talk about that a little bit as well. You mentioned a ton of entrepreneurs. In fact, on your LinkedIn right now, it says marketing for entrepreneurs right under your picture, which is kind of cool. Yep. So the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill, what's it all about, and what are you currently doing for them?
Yeah, it's great. So the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill, authentic Armenian family recipes in Las Vegas many years ago. I think 2006, and I should know this because it's my second tour of duty here. Should remember it. But the founders were purchased by Nick Della Penna and Trent Jones, entrepreneurs in Las Vegas. They began to build a brand in Vegas. Our company, umbrella company, is United Franchise Group, privately held out of West Palm Beach, now Starpoint Brands. And They made a deal. They said, look, we'd love to expand this brand. We'd love to franchise the brand. So they cut a deal, and we have majority ownership in the brand itself. It's really authentic recipes, I said, scratch kitchen. The food is fabulous. Restaurants are very challenging, right? A little labor intensive. But the Greek Mediterranean category, as much as there is, competition, lots of competition like everywhere else, there is a huge runway, and we've really seen that. I was with the company for almost 3 years before I left for just different reasons, all in good terms, or they'd never hired me back again. And I don't think they would have anyway, but anyway, boomerang, right? It's a little cliche.
You are that good at your job, though.
Boomerang back. So no, I went back again, and I just thought, wow. I mean, it's really expanded dramatically, and it's going to be a lot of fun. There's one in Boca Raton. Don't ask me where. That way somewhere.
We're gonna go.
I'm getting back into it, but no. In all seriousness, the food is fabulous, and it is Greek Mediterranean, and we're expanding like crazy. But it's all franchised. 100% franchise. Yeah.
Have you ever had the opportunity to go to Armenia?
I have not.
Nor me. That sounds like we should take a trip.
We might have to. I've never been to Greece. We're doing a contest next quarter. Win a trip to Greece. We're going to figure that out.
Well, if that's the case, I could take you. I
Won't
did
they?
do that one a couple
I'm
years
sure you
ago. I can
probably
drive
did.
you all around.
I know where you've been. I follow you on LinkedIn, man.
All over the place.
Oh yeah, all over the world. Yeah. There he
So
is.
a little bit more about, if it's okay with you, I'm going to call it GGMG at this point. It's a big long name. The Great Greek Mediterranean Grill, all franchised. Where I have a friend, and I'm going to give a little shout out as well. His name is Ian Kelly, and he did Sugar Shack Donuts in Richmond, Virginia. And within months, he had, 4 or 5. Within a couple years, he was up to like 11 or 12. He had jumped from different areas of the state. I mean, he was really growing it quick, and he came up he didn't come up with the concept of franchise, but he was contemplating the idea of doing franchising. What are the benefits of franchising, and what are the benefits of keeping it amongst yourselves?
So you can go both ways, right? The benefits of franchising, which I can speak to for United Franchise Group. The company's been around since the 80s, right? The brands that we've got, Sinorama. So Sinorama is a global brand.
Yeah, I know them.
Fully promoted, which sell your gear and everything else as well. Trans World, we've got 3 food brands. Gray's Craze, a charcuterie brand now. We've got Cannoli Pizza, Cannoli Kitchen Pizza in this area. We just purchased them recently as well. We have AFI, which helps people franchise. So the company is all about franchising. So you just got this massive brain trust of expertise in all of these different areas, not manufacturing, but whatever you get into. Not yet. And now, in all seriousness, we have the team is incredible of all these different and aged, you name it, right? So you've got this brain trust, and we've really got the turnkey packages to make these things happen, right? We've got so many resources within. People will go to AFI and just say, hey, I want to franchise this company, and they own it 100%. And accurate franchising will just help them get going, like your guy in the donut place, and away they go. We may do a deal to purchase part of it, right? If we want to get involved, like we've done, we may purchase it outright, that they've done with, Gray's Craze. So it really is about that brain trust. And I think that I'm not saying that a good entrepreneur, because it happens all the time, can start up their business and figure out how to get into the franchising end of it. There's a lot of consultants out there, and make it happen. But I just know that the reason I'm back here again right now is just the wealth of knowledge and financial support that the company's got is pretty incredible. If you're looking at franchising a concept.
Hey, Chuck, while you were talking, I had to pull up the address just to make sure we got this for all the listeners right now, because we certainly have some
Plug for
local
Boca
listeners.
Raton,
Yeah, and
George Stan.
and you know how everyone likes to vacation to Florida as well, right?
Yeah.
So it looks like the GGMG, the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill, Boca Raton, Florida West. For those of you who are interested, Glades Road, 9963 Glades Road, Boca Raton. I do plan to go there. I'll probably go this weekend, actually, and see what that
Shame
food's all
on me
about.
for not knowing that. I was going to plug Oakland Park off of Commercial Boulevard because I live close to there, but
Don't feel bad.
there you go.
MTDCNC.
Port St. Lucie, West Palm Beach, Orlando. We're opening in Maitland. Tampa's coming in a couple of weeks.
Nice. Very
Yeah,
well
seriously,
done.
yeah.
So not the specific addresses, but
No.
you know they're coming.
Boca Raton wasn't open when I when I left, but George Stan, plug to George, our franchisee. I will see him on Wednesday next week when I visit on Glade. Now I know the address where I'm going.
But that's not Mexico. Aren't you going to Mexico soon too?
Go.
Oh, that's not for public
I
knowledge.
don't know if it is or not. I just started back again. I'm like, oh my gosh. Wednesday I'll be in Glades Road. Thursday I'll be in Mexico.
They don't mind, do they?
That's
No.
all good.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, MTDCNC is based in the UK, and I couldn't tell you where.
Oh, there you go.
Somewhere north of London, about an hour and a half.
There you go. A lot of places. to
I don't have
choose
their
from.
address either.
That's fun.
Chuck, do you want to play a couple games today?
Absolutely.
And you
Let's have some fun.
you have a toast ready as well,
Do you
right?
have the ball? Do you have the ball with you?
Oh, we could.
For kicking the ball about? Is
We
that what we're
can.
playing?
Yeah,
No,
we don't
just kidding,
mind.
just
I think we
kidding.
can move these cameras around, right, Christian? Christian's an athlete.
I've got a bad knee. We'll just have some fun games.
I still believe you could beat me at this point.
no,
I haven't touched a ball in like 10, 15 years.
I'm in rough shape now. Body's in rough shape when it comes to soccer. After playing in goal at Rise all those years like a beanbag, threw myself all over the place.
For everyone who's watching or listening right now, Rise is an indoor complex in
sorry.
Richmond, Virginia, where we all beat ourselves up a lot. In fact, we played tournaments through the night one time, like all the way 24 hours. I remember playing a final at about 4 in the morning and crushing someone against the wall and like everyone cheering for it. Anyway,
As well.
those are my glory days of soccer, which don't exist anymore. And your son-in-law beat me up a few times on the field as well, but we
We
played together quite a bit also. All right, let's play a couple of games. You have
sounds good.
chosen to play 2 truths and a lie, and you have chosen to play rapid fire. Now, rapid fire, for everyone who is listening for the first time, are just a bunch of questions that are random as can be. Chuck has not seen any of these questions come in. He's zero plans, and it's the first thing that pops out. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time on 2 truths and a lie, Christian knows this to be true. I suck. I've never won. I have never won at this game. So let's start with 2 truths and a lie. I've never gotten this right. Let's see if it's the first time that I could get this right. So, and I'm not sure that. I feel like your history is so awesome that I'll never be able to guess
I
this.
thought it was 2 lies and a truth.
Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. You can lie to me twice. I'll try to guess the truth.
Okay, I what do you call it? I actually went to the University of Manitoba to be an elementary school teacher. One point in my life. I am fluent in French. Parlez-vous français? Un petit peu. And Spanish. Hablo español. Quisiera una mesa para dos cerca de la ventana, por favor. And I tried out for Arsenal Soccer Club in London, England in 1976.
Whoa. You have any idea, Christian? What do you think?
Those are so tough.
I
They
think-
all sound like truths.
You know which one I'm going to go with? I'm actually going to go with the middle one about speaking French and Spanish. And the reason is because I can say a couple of in each of those as well to try and convince someone that I can speak it, but I cannot. And I believe you'd be a great teacher. And I have no idea what your soccer skills are, but in Arsenal's, that's quite competitive. Were you that good?
No.
No. Is it that one? Is that the lie? Did you lie to me, all 3 of them?
No. No, number 2's a lie.
You lied to me twice.
I can't speak French and Spanish. I love the Spanish language, and French is interesting. I did go to Arsenal. It was a quasi tryout because I played for Arsenal in Winnipeg, and they set me up, and I went and I trained with the boys' club. It was supposed to be a quote unquote trial. I was there, so yeah.
Were you that good at football?
No, I was a hard nosed little tough, low to the ground slugger. But
Like-
the guy, he set me up for the trial. It was just a fun thing to go do. You know, it's just a lot of fun.
Like most of the Scottish players I admire in the Premier League right now, except McTominay. He's quite big.
McTominay's
He's
my
doing
man.
really well at
That's
Man
my
U
team,
right now.
Man United, unfortunately, 10 years of pain.
Yeah, it's been suffering, but
11 years of pain now.
you can't
Yeah.
give up just because it's hardship. You know, the blue team doing so well. It's not great for me.
Yeah. And I did go to university to be a school teacher, by the way.
Did you?
But I quit after 2 semesters, maybe, to go into the music business. It was much more fun.
Music is fun. We might have to sing at the end. Boots and pants on the DJ side of things, and I'll sing you guys a song or something. We'll figure that out.
We'll sing Flower of Scotland. That'd be good.
Oh, I like that. I did bring my kilt.
Ah, you did.
And don't ask about what's under it.
Get the
You
pipes
all
going.
know the answer with kilts. Never. Never is the answer. All right. This one is called Rapid Fire, and they're just random questions, and whatever pops out. If it's real bad answer, we'll have Christian edit it out for us,
Thank you,
so
Christian.
it'll never make it to the live. But they're just random. I'm going to tell you the first one, just to give you an idea of how this all works, right? So, the first question, which I'm not going to ask you as part of this whole thing, is if your brand was a superhero, what would it be its superpower? You know, so just random things like it would be whatever, right? So we're gonna run through a few of those. We'll do 5, 6, or until I see the tears in your eyes from boredom, or maybe I can hear the audience. Is what can I?
Gasping
Can I?
and getting thirsty for whiskey.
That's coming next. That's coming next. We have a great toast. One of my favorite toasts to do is you only have 2 things to worry about toast. I think that's one of my favorites. But the show is not about me. It's always about my guests. So I haven't toasted yet. All right, you ready?
Yeah,
Ready for
absolutely.
some real randomness?
We'll try it.
All right, audience, we also want you to leave it in the comments as well. So if you have an idea that pops up that Chuck gave his and you're like, I wanted to say mine. Well, firstly, you should join me on the show so you can. And then secondly, leave it in the comments. We'd be happy to have you. All right, let's see here. What celebrity would your brand best be friends with?
This current brand right now?
Yes.
I'm going to go with Leo Messi because he was our celebrity for Hard Rock Cafe, and it just blew up with Messi. And
Doesn't everything, though?
As much as it's Greek and so on and so forth, that would be my quick answer. Leo.
Yeah, everything that dude touches.
Soccer. Oh, amazing.
Crazy.
Brilliant.
If your brand was an animal, what would it be?
It would be a jaguar,
Like,
not a car, an animal.
yeah, like going down to Mexico
Like
again, down
fast
to, in
and
Merida. And
sleek and powerful and all that good stuff.
I like it. I like it. All right. Create a catchy slogan for your product on the spot.
Live your life deliciously.
I feel like we should just stop there. That was fantastic. In fact, I am. Live your life. That's a mic drop moment. Game's over. Let's get some scotch now. Live your life deliciously should be the answer for almost everything you guys do after listening to this podcast. Chuck, I really appreciate you doing that. Benjamin, bring your sexy butt on camera. We know we love you. So this time we are going with what did you select? A 28-year Jura.
Jura from the islands. There we go.
Very well done, my friend. And this is for you.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Do you have a toast that you would like to give today, my friend?
You asked me that before. I'll just say, may your lum aye reek.
Which means?
It's like, may the home fires continue to burn, but it's kind of a welcoming thing, right? It's, may your life be good, may it be filled with joy and blessings and so on and so forth. Because I grew up with coal fires in the home, and it's called a lum rather than a chimney. If you're going for it.
Awesome. Chuck, I really do appreciate you being here. You are a
good
gentleman.
Fun. No, good fun. You're a gentleman and a scholar, and it was great.
Yeah. And for everyone who's watching, we appreciate you as well. Again, we know how valuable time is. I hope we have not wasted any of that today. Chuck is a legend, and I'm so grateful that he was able to spend time with us. Tune in next time. It'll be a surprise guest. I'm not giving you that kind of answers right now. Well, I might not even know, but it is going to be just a couple of days from now, so I probably... Anyway, thank you, Chuck. Appreciate you. Christian, appreciate you as
Christian,
well.
thank you.
And
Ben and
that's another episode, my friends. Welcome to the VIP edition of The Gun Show. No muscles, no guns. Well, some days, but not today. Today is about marketing. Thank you so much.